Aging Puzzle. I'm your host, Carlette DeVoe. Our show is all about aging and how it affects all of us. We will have one-on-one conversations with guests from all walks of life that have been impacted by life and aging. Our show focuses on everyone, whether you are seniors, middle-aged, or young. We will bring their inspiring stories to you. We will hear heart-wrenching, tear-jerking, and uplifting stories about relevant topics, health issues, and habits to live longer and live better. July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. This month, we have been focusing on mental health. This was designated by the U.S. House of Representatives in 2008 to raise awareness of mental illness and to improve access to mental health services and treatments for minorities. Our guest, again returning, is Otero. And as you heard, his story is definitely a tearjerker. He is planning and sharing visibility so that anyone out there who is struggling with mental illness can go and get help. We are here to provide help and bring awareness to mental illness. This is not an easy topic, so please grab a box of tissue and let's hear Al's story about mental illness experienced by his son, David. Our aging puzzle is different. Every month there will be one guest, and that guest will be on the show for 4 consecutive weeks. We will walk you through their journey week after week. Remember, week 1, you will hear the big reveal, and you've heard that already from Al. How did they hear the news? We will learn all about emotions, how they felt learning about the diagnosis, how did the family feel, and how did the family take the news. Week 2 of our show, we will always focus on treatment options. My guests will take you through their process to select treatment for their diagnosis. And during our show, week 3, we will share with you the information that our guest has an experience regarding the actual treatment. Was the treatment effective? Were there side effects? How was it? We want to share everything with you. And finally, week 4, we will hear the outcome of our guest's treatment. What happened? How are they doing? And what are they doing differently? So join us every week after week, to hear our guests walk you through their journey week after week. Because this show wants to impact, inspire, and help our viewers out there. Our Aging Puzzle is sponsored by DG Incorporated. DG Incorporated is a marketing and business development powerhouse, providing business coaching, strategic guidance, marketing, and tactical services to its clients. DG Incorporated helps clients unleash their business potential and growth. Now, it's time to hear aging facts, because remember, this show is about aging, and every day we all age, every day. Approximately 50% of adults, 60 and older, experience mental disorder, and 1 in 4 older adults experience mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, or dementia. And there are many adults over 60 that make important contributions to our society by helping and volunteering with seniors over 60. So go ahead, seniors, keep living, enjoy your life, because every day is a gift. Remember, we're talking about mental health and minorities this month. And mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. So let's look at some mental health tips, shall we? First of all, how we handle stress and deal with our emotions are important. So, There are some facts regarding mental illness in this country. There are millions of people who are experiencing mental illness, so don't think that you're alone. In 2020, the annual prevalence of mental illness amongst U.S. adults by demographic group were as follows. 16.4% of non-Hispanic Asians had mental illness. Non-Hispanic Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders, 18.1%. Non-Hispanic Blacks or African Americans experienced mental illness at a rate of 21.4%, and 20.7% for Hispanics and non-whites. Non-Hispanic American Indians were at a 26.6%. And if you're mixed, multiracial, that's at 34.9% of those people experience mental illness. These numbers are staggering. There are a lot of statistics to show that mental illness is existing in minority communities. So we'd like to bring awareness to mental illness with this show and encourage you to call for help at 988lifeline.org or just call 988 to get help and to talk to someone if you are experiencing mental illness. So our guest today is Al Otero. He is back again. He is an entrepreneur, a phenomenal father. He is a great spouse. He is the co-founder and president of the Global Trade Chamber and the 100 Successful Women in Business Network. Al is also an international speaker, a coach, trainer, and advisor to entrepreneurs from many cultures, nations, and minority groups. Al has served the business community for over 20 years and has served on a number of boards, including the executive board of the Florida State Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Broward County Government Diversity Advisory Council. He has received numerous recognitions, including Lifetime Achievement Award presented by President Joe Biden. He has also received the Hispanic Business Leaders Award in Broward County, and he has received the Hispanic Achievers Award. And this is just to name a few. There's just so many awards that Al has received that I don't want to go into all of them. But you get the gist. Al is well respected, and he's a father, and he's experiencing mental illness in his family. So it doesn't matter what you do, successful, entrepreneur, professional, white collar, blue collar, it doesn't matter. Mental illness affects any and everyone. And there is help out there to help anyone that is experiencing mental illness. This week, Al will talk about the actual treatment that was recommended for his son, David. And remember, Al is here with us for the third week to share with us the journey that he and his family has gone through handling mental illness and supporting his son, David, who had mental illness. We're here with my guest this afternoon. Today is Al Otero. Al, thank you so much for being with us today. You've been sharing your story for the entire month.
Yes.
And so today we want to spend some time talking about the treatment that your son was given. Let's talk about the treatment, the side effects, how did he respond, was the treatment effective, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you again for being with us.
Oh, I appreciate being on the show.
Fantastic, fantastic. So Al is going to tell us about treatment. This is an important episode because treatment can determine how you respond and how you do with getting better with your mental illness. And everyone can get better, but you have to follow the process and be consistent with it. So Al, tell us, your son David, he was given medication for his ADD.
Correct.
ADHD, you said?
ADD.
ADD. Tell us about the medication that he was given.
It was a strong medication, we researched that it had the chance of becoming addicted to it.
Okay.
So we tried to find other options, but at that time they didn't have any other options. So basically you had to go to a doctor and they had to subscribe it because it was not over the counter.
Okay.
And they said that's the only real solution we have right now.
Right.
Because your son's not focusing, getting bad grades. So we did not reluctantly, but they didn't give us a choice. Unfortunately, they were not very advanced on ways to help children that were not paying attention and focusing. And to them, everything was ADD. That was the best way to deal with kids. They were hyper, right? They have a lot of energy at that age. So it was quite an experience seeing how the school system was treated.
Wow.
It was a challenge. So it apparently helped because he was more focused, calmed down, less hyper.
Okay.
But it became something he needed to take. So it became addicted to the thing.
Just what the doctor said, there was a possibility of addiction.
Yes.
So you noticed that he started to have addictive tendencies with this medication.
Yes, because he actually wanted to take it.
Oh, wow.
So that's not good. That's
Okay.
so we don't want the kids to ask about that.
Yeah, so he started asking for the medication.
Yes.
And so tell us about what that looked like and when he started asking about the medication, if he didn't get the medication, would he respond a certain way? You know?
Yeah, it's just it wasn't so much that he was asking for it, it was the fact that he felt now that he needed to have it.
Okay.
So then we didn't have too many choices during junior high.
Okay.
Then high school came in a whole different world in high school because the kids are doing everything now. Back then they were doing, imagine how it is now. Every drug, everybody was smoking marijuana. So he started replacing the ADD medicine with marijuana with all his friends.
Okay.
So he got around the wrong circle of friends, and that became the way that he kept himself calm.
Okay.
Because the marijuana has calming
Calming
effects.
effect.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that was a challenge with him during high school because as he got older, he also started drinking with his friends, going out at night,
Right.
and then they were doing other drugs that we don't even know what they were. So he started getting dependent on other drugs, and that became a real horrible thing to deal with because now it wasn't just marijuana.
Okay. So let me ask you, when he was taking the medication for ADD, he was in middle school or was he in
Yes.
high school?
It was junior high.
And what grade level was he? Was he 7th, 8th grade? How long was he on that medication in middle school?
On and off for about 2 years.
Okay. And when he was taking that medication, was the medication helping him? You said he was starting to focus more.
Yeah.
When he focused more, did he do better in school?
He was very smart, and he had the potential, but his hyperactiveness,
Sure.
didn't let him to focus on the homework, focus on the tests.
Okay.
So it was a challenge for a long time. Having to go to school probably once a week to have a meeting with the teachers or something. So it was nonstop.
So you went to school, he was on the medication, so he's being treated, but you still had to go to school every week because of his hyperactivity.
Exactly.
So then the medication didn't really work then? If he was taking the medication for hyperactivity and to focus, but you still had to go to the school, I don't understand that. Help me
Because his
understand.
behavior, because he was hanging around kids, he would be late from class, he would leave early, so it wasn't only that.
Okay, so there were other things that he was doing
Exactly.
in addition to that.
Yes.
Did you ever take him back to the doctor to tell them that, okay, the ADD medication is possibly working somewhat, he is more focused, but that he has other issues that has now surfaced and he's still getting in trouble in school?
No, we were doing that through the counselors at school,
Okay,
when it wasn't a medical thing.
right.
So they try to counsel him, they try to counsel us how to deal with the situation, but they didn't know what to do afterwards. This is things that a lot of parents go through. It's closed right now. And then that's it. That was high school started, and then he also took up drinking during high school. So trying to mix up drugs and drinking. So it became a whole different set of challenges. And then he dropped out of school, so he got his GED.
Right.
And then he started some technical classes for AC repair because he didn't want to go to college, but at least he got into AC repair.
Right.
But he didn't finish that.
Okay.
After a while, he didn't like it. But all this time, he was out there doing a lot of drugs and trying to maintain that lifestyle while he was trying to build a career, and it didn't work.
Right.
So
He stopped taking the ADD medication and picked up other
no.
illegal drugs.
No, yeah.
And so those illegal drugs that he picked up, were they helping him? You know, it doesn't seem.
No,
like
it made him more
anything-
rebellious and they were making him worse.
Right. And we do not encourage anyone to go and take illegal drugs.
Absolutely.
What,
It's the
you know,
worst thing.
no matter what, illegal drugs are illegal for a reason because they are not good for you.
Exactly.
And so David took this up, and his behavior and his mental illness appeared to get worse.
It got worse. And then
Because-
the alcohol, when you mix drugs with alcohol, it's a losing proposition.
It's a losing problem.
Totally.
Wow.
So he had several challenges. The challenge, it was taken to counselors, Christian counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists for the behavior, and they're trying to get him out of drugs.
Right.
And then it wasn't until later that in his 30s he went into Alcoholics Anonymous. He kept going in and out of that program. But a lot of the, prior to his 30s, a lot of it was counseling. And even he went to rehab centers 2 or 3 times, whether he was in there, an intern.
Right.
And he would come out and he'd be great, and then he would go back to his old friends and his old habits.
Right. Right.
So,
You know, and you said he would go and get help. He would go into rehab centers. He went to Alcoholics Anonymous. But you said something that is pivotal. I'm not a doctor, but you said something that really was important. That is, he went back to his old friends, the old community, the old neighborhood. So if you want to remain a certain way, you want to make some changes
your lifestyle.
and your lifestyle. He did not make those
He
changes
did
when
not.
he came out.
I don't know.
And so as a result, he went back into the same, he fell back into the same situation.
And it was the pure typical peer pressure, because it was around a group of kids that were just wild.
Right.
Wild. And he had I remember a horrific car accident because he was drinking or doing drugs or both, and he was driving and he didn't see a bus in front of him. He went right into the back of the bus. So
Wow.
he went, and his leg broke in 2 parts, and this bones was sticking out.
Wow.
So he almost lost his, they almost amputated his leg. The car was destroyed, and that's how bad it got. He could have died at that moment.
He could have
He
died.
could have, it was so strong that his whole leg was broken in several pieces, and the doctors wanted to amputate, but the wife did not let him. So at her insistence, they actually were able to put some frame, little,
Right.
with metal sticking out of his legs,
Right.
and steel pipes, tube holding it in place until the bone actually was able to.
To fuse
Fuse,
together.
that's the
Fuse
word, fuse.
together, yes.
But
And
that
that
is
to save his leg.
saved his leg.
Save his leg.
But even the amputation could have been worse than just amputation, because he was starting to get the infection going up his leg. That's why they said
Wow.
you need to amputate. That's how bad this
Wow.
the accident was.
Wow.
So all these things, and he still kept going back to his old ways. And that's just a horrible.
You know, I hear the story and it just saddens me so much. Because as parents, I can only imagine what you and your wife and your family went through because you were watching your child go through this pain and go through all of these things. And I can hear that you've been trying to help him.
Constantly.
And you gave him all the resources possible
Yes.
and tried to help.
Constantly. Not once.
Stayed living with you for
Yes.
many, many years.
Years. So we're just going to have him in the house anymore. Because we had two younger siblings. And he was setting them the worst possible example.
Absolutely.
I mean, he loved them and he took care of them, but just seeing what was going on with him was horrible.
We are, this episode, we are talking about treatment now, and, I know this has been how many years? Many years ago, you didn't have a lot of options to treat
No.
AD, and the option that you did have took him down the path where there was some addictive tendency that your son picked up, and then as a result, he picked up the illegal drugs. And then from the illegal drugs, he went to alcohol.
Yes.
So now he has the dual
Combination.
of alcohol and
Which is
drugs, which is not a good
Explosive.
combination.
It's explosive.
It's an explosive combination, and this is not something that is good to help handle and address mental illness.
Oh,
This is very, very difficult.
another thing that was even worse was the fact that when he had this leg problem,
Right.
they put him on
Pain.
the strongest painkillers they had. So he would have episodes that his body was having withdrawal symptoms with one thing, and now he has something else that's going to make it worse. So he would literally go to the emergency room to get his stomach pumped because he was in so much pain. And he lived with that pain for years and years and years.
Wow.
So we'd be there in the middle of the night in the emergency room waiting for him to come out, and he was just, I mean, what are you going to do? Imagine the pain having all
Oh,
that
for
done.
sure, for sure. The pain
Yes.
from one parent to another. I can only imagine watching your child go through so much pain and not be able to do anything but just be there for moral support. And there are so many parents out there that
Suffering.
are suffering and going through this with their child and their children.
Yes.
There's help out there. Al is sharing his story today because we know that there's someone out there that needs to hear this story. Mental illness is real, and if you are experiencing mental illness, you are not alone. There are millions of people out in this country that are experiencing mental illness.
Absolutely.
However, Al is here sharing his story because we want you to know that help is out there. We encourage people to get help sooner rather than later. And the one thing that Al said that is important is that his son was taking prescription medication and he was taking it sporadically. It is extremely important to be consistent. And secondly, the illegal drugs will not help. They will not help. So Al's story is here, really breaking my heart. I'm feeling Al's energy. It is really painful for him. Treatment is out there, but the right treatment is what you need to look for your family and for yourself. Al, I appreciate you so much. Any last remarks about treatment before we wrap up this episode?
Well, I think the biggest thing I've gotten out of this whole experience is the lack of effectiveness from the government to prevent all these drugs to be out in the street and the schools. It's just a total failure of disaster from the government at all levels. That there's so many drugs around the schools. It's unbelievable.
That's a whole nother conversation, but Al brought it up. The drugs in the school, the resources to help people, children, and anyone with mental illness is important. And you all know that help is out there. Call 988 or visit their website at lifeline.org. 988 is where you can go to get help if you or anyone that you know is suffering from mental illness. Please call and get the help that is out there available for you and for your loved ones. Thank you so much to our guest, Al. He shared his story about the treatment that his son went through for his mental illness. Now let's look at habits to live longer and live better. Remember, we recommend doing four things. One, proper diet. Limit your consumption of processed and fast foods, okay? Second, regular exercise. Muscle is important to maintain as you get older. So engage in aerobics and muscle strengthening exercises to maintain and build muscle. 3, reduce stress. Manage your mental health and well-being by eating healthy, exercising, and getting enough sleep. And don't forget, guys, your mental health is important. And 4, sing. Grab a friend and go out for karaoke and sing your heart out. Any type of singing is good for your mental health, well-being, and happiness. So go for it, sing away. Doing these things will have a positive effect on your overall health and well-being and will help you to live longer and live better. Yay! So, to learn more about mental health and mental illness, visit National Alliance on Mental Illness at NAMI.org. And to learn more about our sponsor, DG Incorporated, visit their website at devogroup.com. Now, what we want to do is shed light on mental illness. That's what this month is all about. So we invite you to continue watching our show every Friday at 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel at Our Aging Puzzle. And remember, for mental health support, call the Suicide or Crisis Lifeline at 988 or visit their website at 988lifeline.org. Next week, you're going to hear from Al about the outcome of treatment for his son David and how his family is doing. Again, we want to thank our guest, Al Otero, for sharing his story with us. Thank you all for joining us. Ta-da!
I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from Shark Tank. DG Incorporated provides coaching services to help entrepreneurs open and grow assisted living facilities and build economic wealth. Visit their website to learn more.